All right, everybody, welcome back to the WCA EU Pro Qualifier. We just saw Gamers2 getting ahead in the best-of-3 series against their opponent, the Evil Murkies. The Evil Murkies are, of course, the former team IMG Gaming that was invited to the qualifier here. The organization disbanded, which is why they renamed themselves, and now we have them down one game in this series. In the best-of-3 here in the losers match in Group A, they need to make sure that they win now 2 maps in a row if they want to advance and secure themselves a position at Gamescom, where, of course, the final is going to be held. But we're going to go into the draft now right away. Sky Temple is the map, and we're going to find out what these two teams have prepared for us or for game number 2.
Yep, and Evil Murkies continuing their theme of the second they get the choice of the first ban, banning out the Zeratul. They're not liking it. They just don't feel comfortable playing it themselves. But once again, gives Gamers2 so many options, and they ban out the Kel'Thas.
It's a real problem now. If you don't have a Zeratul player in your lineup, it just gives you such a massive disadvantage if you are first pick, first ban. So in this case, they're not liking this at all. And of course, by now, all the teams know about it as well. We have a Kel'Thas ban in this case. The Evil Murkies now have to make a choice. Are we going for Abathur here? Are we going for a Jaina? Both of the heroes are extremely strong, and Gamers2 is definitely going to pick one of the two of them. So it's a very tough choice to make, and the Murkies go for Jaina. So I personally expect to see the Abathur coming for Gamers2 now on this map. What do you think we're going to see besides it? Or do you think they are going to drop Abathur?
I think they're going to greed it. It's worked for them so far. I think they'll greed Abathur Illidan. Like, the only reason they lost was against the Alternate Fancies, because Alternate Fancy played incredibly well, caught them when they were playing aggressive, just like caught them out a little bit, and, well, Thrall was actually really good. But if they play the exact same composition against, say, the Evil Murkies, or just play it just a little bit safer when they don't get caught out, then it's a really effective comp. They were winning very, very rightly in that last time.
Yeah, so far they haven't actually picked anything here, but I definitely... There it is, the Abathur, of course, as expected. Could be the Illidan right away. Oftentimes we actually see Gamers2 also like not really starting with the Illidan immediately, but just getting the Abathur there so that they have the option to go Illidan. But we've seen a lot of Abathur play even without a melee assassin, just relying heavily on his ability to push lanes, especially on maps where the objectives just move, where you suddenly have a focus on one lane so that Abathur can just jump on another one and soak experience here. But as you already said, we've seen a lot of Illidan. We can assume that Illidan is definitely one of the things that they're considering for this pick now, because they also know that if they don't take it now, it's probably going to be banned out.
Yep, probably. They know Zagara, so there's a good chance, like you said, Illidan's either about to be banned out, or Evil Murkies could just go instant Uber Illidan and just take it for their side and leave Gamers2 with Abathur on whatever they want.
Well, right now what we actually have in this case is a Zagara with, like, the Zagara is, of course, great for pressure. You have a lot of like pushing power on the bot lane normally where we see them early on. But as you said, the potential ban on Illidan, that's definitely something that we could see here if the Murkies don't try to go into the melee assassins themselves, which oftentimes is not the case since you just don't have the support here. If you're going up against an Abathur, you really suspect a bit of a tough game for yourself here. If they don't go into an Abathur now, though, they have the choice still of their tank. They could just decide, all right, in case they pick an Illidan, we're going into a Muradin right now so that we have the Reverberation build ready. But they pick him away. They actually take him. They just say, like, okay, screw that. We have Abathur. They have Abathur, but it's fine. We're going to pick the Illidan. They
want a melee assassin? Pick something else.
Pick a Thrall.
Pick a Thrall. We dare you.
Yeah, we saw Thrall earlier today. It was fun. I liked it. It was good.
It was very good, but the mind games, there's still obviously the options of pretty much every other melee assassin as well. The Kerrigan, still not terrible if you're going for those chain stun compositions. And, of course, we have the wonderful Butcher, who we've been seeing in and out of a lot of compositions. And even, despite the fact of still being labeled as a warrior, Sonya.
Hey, best warrior NA. Couldn't resist. All right, that being said, though, what do you think is going to be the next pick here? I mean, we could see a tank. We've already talked about that a bit.
If I had to guess, Uther, because they need some kind of support, because Gamers2 could Gamers2 get the next pick. So they could very easily ban out either Uther or Rhaegar and then pick the other.
Pick the other, exactly. So it's a really good point. Like, the healer would make a lot of sense. If not, then you would probably try to get maybe the Muradin so that you take that Reverberation and tempt away from your opponent. There's also an early Tyrael that we could see, but then you have the problem, as Tetcher already explained, that your opponent is...
Oh my god, that's none of those things. That's none of those things.
As a tank, I personally would have expected a Tyrael just because the jumping potential is just such insane. If you don't take Tyrael, then it would have probably been great to go into a Muradin here because he's very good at the front line and you also take him away from your opponent. But as Thatcher already explained, banning out or taking a healer here would have been the safer option. And right now, I would be very surprised to not see a healer ban.
I would be amazed to not see a healer ban. Gamers2 ban one, pick the other, and suddenly there's the Rhaegar ban, and they can easily pick up the Uther. Unless Evil Murkies ban the Uther and just completely screw themselves over, but that is unlikely.
Yeah. Do you think they go into a double tank here? Do you think that the Murkies are actually thinking about going a bit old school?
Double tank hunt? Because that's usually when you see the hunt.
Well, you can play still a little bit of Morphus. Doesn't matter if it's hunt or not, but you could go into a Tyrael together with an Anubarak, which is kind of old school. Then you have only the Jaina as the range damage, so that's definitely one of those things.
The return of the blood for blood composition.
Well, I mean, it still does a bit of damage. It's not as strong as it was before, but
it's
up
just
to
50%.
It's the pressure still that you have there. So, because that Anubarak is really just throwing off a bit. Tyrael for engage with Illidan seems just to be stronger, but I guess Anubarak has a little bit more sustain. But well, we're talking about the ban here. So looking at the bans,
Warrior. I assume they already have one of their own.
I feel like there are so many things that they could ban that it really comes down to the question, what do we not want to play against? What's the one thing that really annoys us right now? Because I don't think that they can deny any great compositions to their opponent.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, I would say the Muradin ban would make a lot of sense because they're already running that Illidan. But no, they let the Muradin go through as well and ban out the Johanna. So Gamers2, sensible here, Uther, and then probably Muradin as well, just to like take that away, just so they have the counter to Illidan from Evil Murkies, and then they just pick whatever range they can deal with. But that would, that would be fine, I think. Or another melee.
Uther Muradin would be very, very nice for them right now. I feel like they have to go for the Uther because if they don't take him, then their opponent will. That leaves, of course, the Malfurion, which has a fair amount of area heal.
Yeah, it's healing over time, which isn't the best for the Evil Murkies, but if Gamers2 do take the Uther Muradin, what burst damage do they have? They would need to take a burst damage, either ranged or melee. So Kerrigan, maybe. Falstad, yeah, exactly, the same style. And they would have a lot of setup, especially seeing as you could technically do the more Pinterland. There's the Uther.
Then again, the question, if you already plan going Falstad, you might think about the Tyrael instead of the Muradin.
Maybe.
It gives, of course, like a reverberation away to your opponent, so it's going to be a little bit more tricky to deal with the Illidan, but at least you're going to get this burst damage out there. And if Tyrael has the support of not only Uther, but also Abathur, that's very strong and also very scary.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting next few picks for Gamers2. Evil Murkies pretty much given away the entire game. They need a ranged, and they may go for either, and they need support. So they've pretty much given away their entire build. We know the next two picks for them. They could also go for another warrior, something like that, for that extra tankiness. Say if Muradin isn't picked up by Gamers2 here, they could, if they wanted to, pick it up for themselves and get that lovely stun comp. Or, like we said before, they can pick up Tyrael too and just go for that huge engage. But whereas Gamers2, they've got the beginnings of a comp, but their warrior is going to be very important to how they play here, and they have one range, they can still go technically a melee or another range.
Yeah, it's also like you don't really know exactly what Evil Murkies are going to do with the attempt to maybe like go into a second tank, yes or no. But the issue that you definitely have here, if they don't go into a double tank and you pick a Tyrael right now because you try to go into Tyrael Falstad together with an Abathur and they suddenly pick the Tyrael away from you, then you find yourself in a bit of an awkward spot. But you kind of have to take one of these guys just now. Both of the tanks would be good also for their opponents if they want to go into that heavy melee composition. So Gamers2 has actually a very difficult choice to make here.
Yeah, because of this, they're letting their time tick down pretty low. We're about to hit 21 seconds. So they need to start finalizing their decision for what they're going to do here. The safer option would be Tyrael, probably. I would say just one, deny it away from Murkies. Two, set up for a Falstad. Murkies can pick the Falstad as well if they wanted to. They do still have the potential room for that in their composition, but there are other options they can go with. That's Sylvanas. Well, we can see the silence onto the support, maybe whoever that turns out to be, or silence onto the Jaina, and Jaina is basically useless for a couple seconds.
So Sylvanas is going to be their damage dealer now instead of a Falstad. Falstad would have been one option, Sylvanas is another. She has the additional silence. That's good to lock down the Tyrael, of course, so that's not too bad. Didn't even think about her in this case, to be honest, but that's
Yeah,
actually a pretty cool pick. On Sky Temple, you oftentimes see Falsa just because he has that mobility on the map, but they have already Abathur for this, so they don't necessarily need it. They don't go for the burst damage here that a Falsa would provide them, but it gives them more lockdown against Illidan. And there comes, of course, the Malfurion right now, which they need since there's nothing really else that they can take in this situation. But the last pick is a very, very interesting one. Are we going to see a second warrior at the front line, or are we going to see something completely different with them maybe adding even additional damage, or pick something like utility like and go for a Tassadar, which also would be quite nice against, first of all, I thought about it, but to be honest with you, a Tassadar I would like here a lot more than a Tyrande, just because it helps you against the creep spread from Zagara, it helps you against the positioning of Abathur, but they decide to go for more damage, and that means Nazeebo, which leaves them a bit on the squishy side.
Yeah, definitely leaves them a bit on the squishy side, but there's no potential for Falstad coming in from Gamers2, as they are currently short of Warrior. And there's the Arthas. So Gamers2, instead of going for the burst comp like we were talking about earlier if they had picked Tyrael and Falstad, instead going for the attrition push comp, where they basically dive all the way in with with the Arthas and just keep pushing to give Sylvanas time to get all her damage off.
Yeah, they go for a bit of a different strategy here, and it's actually like pretty curious to see how this is going to work out right now. I'm liking the Arthas that they're using here. If you don't go for a false set to really execute that burst damage that we've been talking about earlier, then you also don't necessarily need to go into Ethereal. That would have been one of the options that Gamers2 had there, just to say, okay, we're going to try to burst targets down, we're going to jump in with the Judgment, we use the Hinterland Blast behind that, and we have Abathur to really help us out with the damage once we are upon the target. That works especially good against Jaina, as long as she doesn't have the her shield on level 13, so her ice block. But in this case, I decided to go down a different path and just move into a position where Illidan does not really have a good spot. Illidan jumping in can be locked down by a Howling Blast. We have an Abathur helping out with us as well. And the one thing that you always have to consider too is, of course, that we are seeing now in this case a Sylvanas, which can go for the silence, which is quite scary. Then again, the Evil Murkies opting for more damage in this case. I still think that a Tassadar in this particular setup against what they were running would have been also kind of smart, just because you take a bit of the map control away that Gamers2 is going to have. But this game is pretty interesting. I did not expect those drafts coming out the way they did, but it's pretty cool to see that, and I am very curious to see who is going to be able to take this game now.
Yeah, it's kind of attrition versus attrition in the way they're going. It's basically going to be to see who can push into the other's backline first, because Illidan's going to be basically the hardest diver on the side of the Evil Murkies, whereas Gamers2, Arthas is going to be the one pushing through, and it's basically a question of who gets there first and who does a better job once they're there. For
Arthas, which also is going to be nice, if they get a good Maw here, and then they have a lockdown with the Howling Blast on Arthas, that could be... yeah, that could be quite something. So if Gamers2 gets a good Maw, that would be a perfect setup
as well with the Cold Embrace. That could just be absolutely devastating to anything Evil Murkies have.
We, of course, have the lead already for Gamers2, which in this case means that they are currently looking at a 1-0, and if they take one more map, then they will win the series. And they can do that now on Sky Temple, the map that we're going to jump in right now to find out who is going to claim victory in game number 2, where we have to the left side of the map, we have the French team with Q on Nazeebo, Illidan played by Arcane. We have Narcisse on Malfurion, Tic Tac on Anubarak, and Lysfog on Jaina. To the right side of the map, it's their opponents. We're having Gamers2 with Leo from Korea on Uther, Nika on Abathur, Shihu on Arthas, Yuva on Sylvanas, and Bashek on Zagara.
And Sylvanas instantly starting off with the barbed shot, which is a very viable talent. We see it a lot of the time, but we've been seeing a lot of with the wins so far today.
I really like Barb Shot, especially on maps like Tomb of the Spider Queen, but it's a talent that gives you a lot of pushing power. And we've already seen Gamers2 play once today on this map, where they try to go for disengage and play around their opponent. And to be honest with you, the composition that they have here gives them exactly that opportunity again. There's a lot of pushing power. We have Sylvanas Zagara, great pushing for them, and Abathur with a potential monstrosity to do exactly the same thing, and Arthas to make sure that opponents can't really chase you down. And I feel like they're going to try to play the same style that they already used against Alternate Fancy.
Yeah, I would not be surprised with this. But now though, Jaina Malfurion with the Moonfire ability and the Nazeebo in that lane is going to push very hard. Unfortunately, it's against Sylvanas. Normally you'd say, wow, this lane is going to push up amazingly. But with Sylvanas in the lane, they're not really going to get much done.
Yeah, Sylvanas is just really good with the Shadow Dagger and also the wave, dishing out additional damage and slowing the wave down. But the pressure against Sylvanas is already there. That's where Uther comes into play. He needs to be the one to really make sure that Sylvanas is going to stay alive. Reach has been used here. We have on Arthur's, of course, block taken on level 1. And now the Shrine's already being announced. But look at this bottom lane. Both of the towers already out of ammunition. And as an Illidan... Like, if you are playing Illidan, you're up against a Zagara and an Abathur, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's hard to lane against Zagara as is, but when you're a melee, it's not going to happen. When you're a melee assassin, not even a warrior, then you're basically going to get nothing done. You have to hang back.
And now it's a Temple for a Temple, and the bottom lane is still being pressured here. There's creep currently spread everywhere, and Bacek is just going down on those structures. I mean, the 2 towers are being attacked. There's mines all the way up at the front, and Illidan can't do a thing about it. Yeah,
he has to stay back. He's getting XP for this at least, but those towers are definitely going to go down. Sylvanas looking to maybe have a poke in at the top lane. Anubrak also very low. Sylvanas has to back up. There's no way she can raid this. Illidan still having many issues.
There's a big problem if your bottom lane gets pushed like this. If your opponent is able to take down your well, the Temple at the bot lane is something that you nearly have to fall around from the beginning. Because you won't be able to just heal up there, whereas your opponent with this entire setup has still a chance to just like move back a little bit, get hit points and mana back, and go into the fight once again. So if this well falls, then the second Temple phase is most likely going to be very, very difficult to win for the Murkies, who are at this point nearly a level behind.
Very much so. Talent-wise, pretty much nothing out of the ordinary on level 4s. Everyone going for what we would expect from them.
Yeah, there's the well already being attacked. That has to be the priority for Zagara now, taking this one down. And she is very likely going to get that.
Yeah, halfway. Jaina is going to be a bit better at dealing with this, but not going to be able to hold her back for long. And Shikul taking full control of this mid lane as well.
Yeah, we're having with destruction on level 4 for the extra damage on Arthur. This is one of the tanks that gets the most damage out if he's played correctly. We're having a Loon's Grace from Alfurin, which gives him an increased range on all of his basic abilities. And there's a rotation down to the bot lane. We have Arcane already here and Assisse as well. Shiku, on the other hand, trying to howl him down. And the Howling Blast missing as Arcane jukes him out.
Level 7s, though, were just hit by Gamers2, and it is very good that they did survive that, because if they died, at least any of them had died, they would have given it to the side of Evil Murkies as well. And that would be bad, considering that there's potential for the next Temple to come up in the next few minutes. I believe it's like any time after 4 minutes that it can come up.
I think it's 2 minutes after the last shot of Temple was taken. When
I believe so. Yeah. And those ones went pretty quickly. There was like no contestation. Yeah,
it's not going to take too long. We have once again both teams going for the Bruiser camp up at the top. Bacek is starting to move in again at the bot lane, and he is about to he gets the well, and that is a big problem. All right, a break in the game here, and well, with this already happening, I'm not quite sure what exactly the issue is, but that gives us an opportunity to look at a few things here in the game. So let's do this real quick. First of all, we have level 7 now, where of course Unstable Poison comes into play. 2 minutes! Wow, that's a break right there.
That is a hell of a break.
Yeah, that's a hell of a break. So apparently, I'm not quite sure what exactly went wrong here, but well, let's talk a little bit about the talents. So first of all, we have a complete focus on the support build for Abathur going into Adrenal Overload and Pasteurized Glands. So this is like without the push, but I still expect them to go for Monstrosity as they showed that in the game against Alternate Fantasy. What do you think?
I would agree. Monstrosity in this, the kind of split push you can get out of it, so much XP you can get, and so just from killing the buildings that they push down, like towers here and there. And Monstrosity just stacks up so massively well that you really need that.
We have at the same time now with this, just like looking at the talents here, especially on someone like Arthur, so of course Rune Tap already taken. And with Rune Tap in play, that means for us right now that we are going to see him very sustainable. He is going to be able to take just talents on his own. Sorry, not talents, but of course like just like a few camps on his own, which is going to be pretty easy. And well, just with the way that this works, if you haven't seen the first game that we saw today, what Gamers2 did against Alternate Fantasy, I think it was actually game number 2 that we had, yeah. They just moved around the opponent the entire time and made sure that they never really fought. They had a great pushing setup, and they were trying to drop structures as fast as they could. And it was very successful for them. up to the late game where they took a fight where they suddenly lost 3 heroes. It was the only fight, actually, the only big fight where also Alternate Fantasy was able to drop a couple of heroes, and that won them the game. But up to that point, they already lost every single keep. Gamers2 looked like the sure winner there, but the comeback was real. And this is exactly the strategy that Gamers2 is going for again. And with all that pushing power that we have, I think that we are going to see the Murkies in a bit of trouble.
I would definitely agree. The Murkies, they did a good job at soaking XP against Liquid on this map, but Gamers2 are a completely different beast. They don't just soak XP and then like take an advantage like Liquid do. Gamers2, they split push all the time, and Murkies, it's a completely different style to play against. Another very interesting thing I'd like to point out is the lack of a talent so far on someone, and that is Abathur. He's yet to take his talent due to the fact that he can
level
go
7
for the extra damage. It's level 7, or on this map, the Mule is incredibly important, but it's only really important if you're losing. So if Gamers2 continues to take control like they are, then Abathur's probably going to go for some form of damage. If not, then if they start losing some of their forts due to those temples, if Evil Murkies take control, then the Mule is vital.
The one thing that we are going to see now as well, Mule, of course, is going to be important, and one of the things that will definitely decide what Abathur is going to do here is also the next temple phase. The well that we've been talking about at the bot lane is down for the Evil Murkies. They are already a level behind their opponents. So
it's literally going to die the second we come back into the game.
So we're nearly at level 8 now for Gamers2, but the Murkies are still on the beginning of level 7. The well at the bot lane is down, and that's the important well when both of the teams are starting to focus on the temple that is going to spawn there right now. So it's very unlikely that we're going to see Evil Murkies making a big play for it, since they know the only thing that Gamers2 has to do during the fight is move back behind the gate, well up, and then they can move in again. So they have a lot more experience, a lot more hit points and mana they can deal with. At the same time, they have Abathur, who can also soak the top lane. So Evil Murkies would probably best advise to just let the temple go and try to push somewhere on the map and try to get a few structures down. The problem with that is it's exactly the strategy that we've seen from Gamers2, and they will see that, and then they will make a decision to probably fan out as well. Right now, the Murkies are in a lot of trouble, and then the next temple, is I going to feel either not really decide the game just yet in favor of Gamers2, but it's going to show if the Murkies can just go tie the experience up again. Yeah. Or if Gamers2 is going to get an even even a bigger lead that they already have and can drop maybe even a few forts.
Yeah, and another very interesting thing that we do see on, well, you will see once we go back into the map, is the Evil Murkies just took their own bruiser camp, and they pretty much have vision of almost everyone from Gamers2 on the map. So they're like, we have this, we're putting pressure on. Gamers2 are probably going to roam down through the temple because it's up in 10 seconds. However, Gamers2 have done what they did against the team of Alternate Fantasy. They've taken their bruiser camp and just left Abathur sitting right next to it, just really hoping it doesn't get raided, because if it's raided, it's gone.
And the one thing that they did last time is that they saw the bruiser camp coming in of their opponents. They didn't take theirs. They killed the bruisers, but they didn't cap it yet. And then they moved in with a hero or two, dropped the opponent's bruiser camp, took their own, and moved all back down to the bot lane. So as the opponent, you are suddenly in the situation where you're saying, like, well, if we all move down, those mercenaries are going to push in our top lane. We might even lose our fort. Abathur is sitting there just gathering up the experience and trying to help out with the push. If we don't go to the bottom lane, though, we are going to lose that temple. So in a lost situation where you don't really know what to do. And the one hero that is currently still up at the top is Sylvanas, with a barbed shot on level 1 that allows her to do 200% extra damage against minions and mercenaries, and unstable poison on level 7. And there's just no better hero out there in the entire game that at this level is able to burst down a wave super fast, and that includes also the bruisers. So right now, everything is stacked against the Murkies. And I feel like Gamers2, for the Murkies to get out of the next 2 minutes in the game, on eye level with their opponent, Gamers2 has to make a massive mistake and maybe like get caught out on the map. What do you think? Like, I feel the only thing that can happen right now is them losing 2 heroes to some time of a gank and then suddenly losing that presence.
I think the only way they're going to get away with this is if the Evil Murkies get an incredible fight on that next temple that's coming up. It's 10 seconds away from being available. And, like we said, Gamers2 are going to have a much better roam than that. They could, if they wanted to, like you said, leave Sylvanas up in the top lane. She's going to be able to wipe out that bruiser camp from the Evil Murkies. Nazibo, he is up here at the moment, but he's mounted up. Looks like he might be waiting to leave and head down to that bottom lane to help out with the fight. So they may be able to get 2 picks there.
For it?
I think they have to. maybe? Like they
Like, if they
can't
have-
afford to take all those shots.
The thing is, like, if they fight for it, the top lane is going to get pushed. They don't have the well at the bot lane. And if they are really unlucky, level 10, I don't think it's going to hit in the time, but it depends a lot on what kind of structures are going to be taken down there.
Yeah.
But they are looking at a very, very dire situation here. And Gamers2, if the problem is also, like, if Gamers2 takes now, let's say, the temple and a fort at the top, they're nearly immediately going to hit level 20. Sorry, level 10.
Level 20, I was like,
that
wow,
would be a bit fast.
lot of XP hidden away in those
Yeah.
buildings.
Level 10, on the other hand, is also going to give them the heroic ability. And if they reach that 1.5, maybe 2 level before the
Yeah.
opponent, then you have such a dominant position on the map that you can take any camp. You could even take boss in such a case.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get those 2 kills, you can just burst down boss very quickly. Right now, as we are talking, both teams are at level 7. But as we can see, Gamers2, Gamers2 are a sliver away from hitting level 8, whereas Imaginary Gamers still have just over half of their XP bar. Evil Murkies have just over half their XP bar before they get to that level 8. And we're still waiting for an update.
Yeah, apparently the reason why one of the players is like the PC of one of the French team pulled the French defense and just like randomly rebooted and just ran away. So
yeah, it's one of those unavoidable Windows updates. Your computer will restart in this many seconds. Save what you're doing. I'm in a game. Tough.
Yeah. The l'ordinateur of one of the guys apparently just said, okay, I'm total kaput, and therefore he's just gone. But he's launching the game already. Don't
I
look
have
at me
no
like
idea what you just said. I'm assuming the computer went boom.
Yeah, basically. L'ordinateur. Don't you know that? Like every other language out there, if you talk about a computer, it's like a computer, a PC or something, right?
Yeah.
And the French has said, no. We need a new word for this.
That's a very French approach. To be fair, they did try to redesign time at one point in history. They tried to make time work on a decimal system where it was in 10s rather than 12s. Or rather than 60s.
I have never heard that.
They tried to redesign it back in the French Revolution, and it would technically work, but it would be like a bit more out of sync. That it's on Google.
Right.
Like, Google can explain it way better than I can, but they did try it. It's a very French thing.
They did try to reinvent time. Like that is that's a task right there. I mean, that's ambitious. That's very ambitious. Apparently they didn't succeed. At least I'm still like pretty used to our time system here. But yeah, apparently his l'ordinateur just rebooted randomly, and he currently is already loading up in the game. Looks like we're going to see that game continue in just a bit. But yeah, sorry for that small break. That's of course something that we can't really do anything about it. You might already have noticed that we are in a pretty smooth studio here, currently sitting in Berlin, in Germany. But the players are still at home. Once that the teams qualify for BlizzCon, it's of course going to be a completely different setup, because then everybody is going to be at the same location at the offline event, a big convention that is going to be held in Cologne in just a few weeks. But for now, we are still looking at the players like sitting at home, playing in that online environment. And let's be honest, shit happens. That's exactly what happened there.
Yep.
And we just have to wait for him to reconnect. But from what we can tell, what we've been updated here, he should be back in a second. And that gave them also a bit of time to actually think about what they're going to do next. Because I'm sure
minus one player, but
exactly,
they can
but
chat.
They're definitely going to look at the screen right now and talk about the exact same things that we've been doing, and basically analyzing that and saying, like, guys, we are pretty much screwed. We need to make a play happen here, or we have a big problem.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. They may have something. I still think they probably want to fight. If anything, they leave Nazibo up in the top lane, just so they can defend against Sylvanas, because they leave Sylvanas alone, she's going to break their stuff.
Yeah.
And they kind of need that.
The thing is, like, even Gamers2, I feel like, could just decide to say, like, we might have the better position in the bot lane, but why fight? We have a Sylvanas up at the top.
Yeah.
If you rotate down, we
it.
just leave her there. We delay the temple at the bot. You can soak that temple. We're completely fine with that. That's going to kill, maybe if you're lucky, a fort of us, and that's about it. And in the meantime, we take a fort up at the top. We move with the rest of the heroes in the mid lane and wreak even more havoc. So the game is about to come back into... we're coming back into the game as the players are ready once more. And after we've been analyzing this thing to death already, I really want to see what's going to happen here right now, because I feel that the position that Gamers2 has at this point is absolutely amazing. And I want to see how exactly the Evil Murkies are going to react against it now.
Yep. So we are now back into the game very quickly. We see the Bruiser camp of Gamers2 instantly taken by Abathur. as they were waiting for that the entire time. However, though, taking his talent, not even waiting.
Sylvanas actually moving away before she takes down the wave.
Interesting.
So saying that she's not going to bother with taking down the opponent's camp. Q was still there, so I feel that was one of the reasons. They're fighting both for the temple here, and this is definitely the temple that is going to go to Gamers2.
Yeah, Gamers2 have full control of this. Nazeebo thought about coming down, then realized, yeah, that's not going to happen. And is heading back up to the top lane, but ooh, Abathur's a bit far out. Is Nazeebo going to realize this and try and engage him? Oh my god, he's right there. He's right there, throw spiders.
We basically see what we were expecting. The Murkies are giving up the temple. They realize they can't do anything about it. They already lost the fort down here. So we have rotations from both teams. And just look at this experience that we're currently seeing coming into play for Gamers2. They are so close to the level 10 right now. A kill even against Jaina. A lockdown against Malfurion. The stun on the side of Anubarak. And this is just bad news for the Murkies.
Oh my god, Arthur's with an Abathur. It's so much. And Anubarak having to burrow charge out of there despite having a healer with him. Bashek also arrived and just dealt huge amounts of damage in that. Level 10s hit by Gamers2.
No Mule on the side of either one of these teams. We have Needlespine against for Abathur. He decided against the Mule. And on the opponent's team, we do not have a Mule at all. So in this case, the only one who had the choice. Well, actually, we had two heroes that had the choice to go into Mule, Malfurion and Nazeebo. Both decided against it. Gitbin and, in the case of Malfurion, Cleanse have been taken. But that also means that this fort that we saw in the mid lane could not be saved. And just look at this XP advantage. Oh my god.
Yeah, Gamers2 in very much in control here. And oh no, Nazeebo, he has no escape. He gets rooted and down he goes. Gamers2 really punishing Evil Murkies for everything. And that's a hell of something to come back to. Your PC resets, you rejoin the game, and suddenly everything starts going wrong. Yeah,
I mean, it started going wrong a while ago already. Just that well kill at the bottom. This lane being pushed so hard by Zagara because the only hero that she was up against was an Illidan until the rotation finally came into play. Gave Gamers2 such a great position on that bot lane. They're maybe going a bit too deep. The 10s are there for both of the teams right now. Here's the Web Blast already being used. Chihu is moving in at the same time. Tic Tac is diving deep. We have them all in the back line, and that's a good position as the Divine Shield is already being used, and we're having the attack against Illidan. But they're trying to get the first kill here, and it looks like Bashik might go down, and yes, he is. Zagara down. Illidan dead too. They're going straight for Sylvanas Q with another
so low. The Abathur's on him. They're trying to take him down. Chihu does get stoned. He gets knocked up. That's going to give Yuba time to escape, but the zombie wall traps the Arthurs, and he will get taken down. And that is a 2-for-1 in favor of the Evil Murkies.
That was exactly what they needed there. It looked really like they would, not lose the game, but fall even farther behind after the temple was taken at the bot lane. But this fight that we just saw gave them 2 kills, and that's exactly what they needed. But 2 temples are spawning now, and Leo and Yuba are already at the bot lane to at least make sure that they will claim one of them. And they are still a level ahead of their opponents, and this will mean a faster level 13, and of course not even talking about the structures. The last keep or the last fort is being attacked in the top lane, whereas the Murkies haven't killed a single one yet.
Yeah, they're trying. Like, winning the fight is something, but if you're still losing all the objectives, then what can you get out of it? However, like we said, they are finally getting an objective of their own from that temple in the mid lane. Heroics are available for everyone, and we saw the Web Blast in the last fight, but we do have the double summoner comp with the Gargantuan and the Water Elemental.
And we have no Monstrosity, by the way, so it's not the exact same strategy that we see from Gamers2 in the last game. They know that they have enough pushing presence with the Sylvanas and Zagara. They could have gone for Monstrosity here and said, alright, we're going to play the game once more, but they decided against it. Illidan moving away here after the lockdown attempt from Chihu.
The dodges out of Illidan there, dodging the root, then dashing just before the silence hit him, so he got out. Very nice.
Now we have Narcissa and Tic Tac, just making sure that also this boss is not taken. By the way, look at all of this creep that we're seeing here. Very good vision that we see around the boss on the side of Gamers2. That will help them to really determine when exactly the Murkies might move in and try and take the boss here, so that nobody can sneak that in. Good camp taken. Again, this time they don't wait for it, they take it immediately. And there's a level 13 talent now finally also on the board for the Murkies.
Yep, and we have the 6th sense coming in from Illidan, making a lot of sense considering the Sylvanas is the majority. Sylvanas and Zagara, sorry, both of their damage is mainly inabilities. Ice Block making a lot of sense from Malfurion. He is going to be the target, so the more healing you can get off before he gets burst is very important.
Stormfront has been taken on Jaina. No Ice Block there, instead just the double range that we see on her Blizzard. That's a really nice talent if you want to stay far away in the back line. And we've seen this a lot more often since Sprint was taken away from Jaina. I really, really like this here. It's a cool talent to take. And the one thing that Gamers2 doesn't have is jump. they have nobody to really close the distance really, really fast.
Yeah.
So the only setup that they have for this is potential more. So I'm kind of liking this.
Yeah, like, the only person who can dive is Sylvanas, and she's going to be diving into a lot of CC. Otherwise, Arthas is going to wade through this like a literal blizzard. He has to just walk through it all.
I mean, if Emo Sylvanas decides that life is not worth living anymore, then I guess she can use the Haunting Wave to initiate and dive deep into the opponent's composition. But that would be a very short-lived battle there.
Yeah, forsaking your teammates in that way is just not a good idea.
Yeah. So, well, bot lane, that's where we're currently seeing them try to go for one of those forts. The root against the Nubarak, where Blast already used. He's jumping in right into the wall. Oh my god, his teammate, of course, releasing that, not able to catch the other heroes here. Shiku in trouble!
He does go down. There is a ultimate evolution Darthus here as well, but he'll get taken down too. And the Evil Murkies win another fight, second in a row, and they're going to be able to take a fort there first off the game.
Yeah, bad positioning here for Gamers2. Evil Murkies driving a wedge between the heroes on the side of their opponent's team, and therefore, all of a sudden, they are starting to claw their way back into this. They have still a disadvantage in experience, but they are on the same level. Level 16 should hit a bit faster for Gamers2. But as dominant as Gamers2 was in the beginning of the game, they are making a few uncharacteristic mistakes right now.
Very true indeed. And to be fair, what can they really do about this? Like, they're trying their best to take back control, but they're still a level ahead. They can only soak so much.
Yeah, for them the problem is really just like staying together as a team and just confront them as like one team instead of like getting this. Getting split during the fight this early on definitely was an issue in the last one. Again, the web blast. Very well done here. The stun already in the back line. Here comes the lockdown again.
Oh my
but
god.
The kill. Oh my. Oh, the silence. They're going straight for Malfurion again. Good luck with the ice blow.
Yeah, he's just going to wait this one out. Wait for his death to arrive. Down he goes. But a Nubarak got annihilated in that fight as well. So Gamers2, we were just talking about gaining their momentum back. There it is. Found it. Was under the couch.
Yeah. They had to look for a few minutes, but then they found it again. And Nika is now far out on the map, getting more experience for his team. Both of the teams are on level 16, but of course, the only thing that they could do right now in this scenario was to just go straight for the boss. With a 5 versus 3, you want to get boss, and they are going to make sure that they will.
Very risky here by the Evil Murkies taking their easy camp. Suddenly they realize, wait, Gamers2 are right there, and immediately back out of that.
Yeah,
but
they saw the boss take, and they were like, uh-oh. Probably should get out of here.
Yeah, this is the only other objective on the map. Where are they coming next? And it's pretty obviously straight to the easy camp. So now, though, we have a boss and an easy camp pushing down that bot lane, along with the entirety of Gamers2. Ampha in the mid lane soaking the XP. And it's going to be a very tough defense for Evil Murkies. They do have the level 16s, though.
Yeah, they do, and we have also Cold Embrace right now on the side of Gamers2 that might enable them to take down another target. Sylvanas is always amazing for pushing power with the Black Arrow trade, disabling another 40 and moving in zigzag at the front. Big Man forgets rooted and immediately attacked. There's also the Cold Embrace. They're going for Lisp, they're pushing the back, but the keep is already gone.
We did see a cloned Arthas as well there, buying his team time to take down that keep by diving massively into the backline of the Evil Murkies and just completely distracting them so they couldn't kill the boss and allowing the team of Gamers2 to just wipe that keep off the map.
Abathur is at the top again. Nika using him to soak even more experience. Currently, if you look at the EXP soak, he's at 12,000. We still have Nazebo, who oftentimes went on split lanes for his team on 10k as well. So doing quite a bit of damage, and especially, of course, the pushing hero with Sylvanas also on 11. So Abathur not really in the role where he's able to double his opponent's EXP, but he's doing a pretty solid job at pushing these lanes out and making sure that he is getting some split push experience for his mates.
And with that ultimate evolution, he's actually been in these team fights. Tic Tac almost getting caught out again. Managing to get the full stun off, though. They're going on to Sagara. She gets the more, but she still goes down. More is used onto a Nubarak in the backline. We're going to see Uther get taken down. Arthas comes out. Nice silence from Sylvanas, but she's being chased away by Gargantuan.
Yeah, Gary chasing Sylvanas away, and we are moving again against Arthas. Shiku is getting locked down completely, and 3 heroes down just like that. The Murkies, they are not giving up just yet.
This Nubarak coming up trumps here. He may be the one that sometimes gets caught by that Howling Blast, and it's nice, but every time they've caught him so far, every time they've not caught him, every time they've tried, Nubarak has just gone, okay, and just re-engaged and just countered. And that's when Evil Murkies have been winning their fight. So maybe Nubarak not the best choice to engage here.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have once again a pause here in the game, so I'm not 100% certain what's going on with that. Maybe the Polish team having a few problems here. But in this case now, they are on exact the same amount of experience, guys. It is level 19 versus 19. Well, they're both this far away from the next
I'm leaning
level.
in. I can't see the difference between these two. They're so close.
Actually ready again, so I'm not quite sure what exactly happened there, but they're like counting in, and we are back to business. So as we were just saying, they are both on level 19 right now, and in this case, we're seeing them on eye level in EXP, and the only difference is really just like the structure count.
Yeah, like and that is actually going to come out in favor if Evil Murkies can keep their momentum up. The amount of structures will come out in favor of them. The fact they're even on XP at the moment, they have basically a bank of XP set up in that keep that they haven't taken yet.
Yeah, most likely reach level 21st the way this is going. 6 kills against 5. The Murkies are doing well here. Gamers2 all of a sudden are behind half a level.
Gamers2 need to stop picking Sky Temple. They always seem to like get ahead of the early game, and then suddenly things are not going their way in team fights.
I really think that in this game they could have even relied on the same strategy that we used in the last one. I really like the approach here, but it's really the late game where they make 1 or 2 back team fights, and then all of a sudden they are far behind. But of course they haven't lost this yet. They will get level 20 before the next fight starts.
Free Bolt of the Storms on the side of the Evil Murkies, and that was where things were going wrong for them in their team fight, seeing their members go down so quickly, and then even a Nubrak taking the rewind, so he actually has another escape as well, seeing as he was really the only one who got killed off that quickly.
Who needs to stay in though? Like, he has no hardened shield, which is such a great challenge to take, but yeah, he has the stun and he has the escape. You're totally right about that. This is actually one of the things that the Nubrak had in the past when we had rewind still on level 13, and everybody was like so happy about it, since you could just simply move into a fight, and if you had a problem, you pressed rewind and you moved back out. And for the longest time, after rewind was moved from 13 to level 20, people have been saying that Anubarak is not viable anymore, but he came back, and he came back with a vengeance. Of course, since then we also saw a few changes to the hero. But let's find out what's going to happen here. We have, in this case, Hive Mind taken.
Tic-Tac will get out of there. Does get demounted, but there's no one ready to lock him down here. Spiders come in from Q just to keep this area pushed, and Gamers2 just camping their base for now.
Yeah, of course, the keep here making all the difference. This is the advantage that Gamers2 now has, and they were able to put a bit of pressure on against most of the lanes as well. But especially in the mid lane here, the keep has been taken out. Sorry.
Yeah, I missed that. I guess that was from the temple.
That was the temple that took it out. I actually didn't really think that the temple would be able to take it out, but it did. So we have 1 temple down for both of the teams.
Yeah, this is very true. And Uther yet to pick his level 20. Some of you may be wondering about that, but it's literally just a situation. Sometimes you take the Storm Shield, but mostly it's due to the fact that if you don't take Redemption when you die, it doesn't show the animation. So the team may not focus you because they won't see the animation that you are going to revive.
Here comes the initiation, moving in, stunning 2, Webrab already used, and we're having Tic-Tac in a lot of trouble here in the back line. But again, the aggression against Arthur. He gets the Divine Shield in the last second. Tic-Tac is nearly dying, but he gets a heal. Uther keeping him alive, or Malfurion keeping him alive here. Everybody else rushing away, and again, that big jump, this aggression from the Murkies.
We're going to see the Arthas go down. Yuva's already pulled out of here. Nika, the Arthas clone, is just rooted here. He's trying to chase down Q, but he gets wiped here. And Illidan, he had to bolt out of that fight and then come straight back in with that dive, which is what took down Arthas. And the Murkies, not really able to get anything out of this. They don't have much to push, but they now have the area of control when the temple has just spawned. In the meantime, Abatha is being annoying.
Yeah, Abatha is doing what Abatha does best. He's being annoying, and he just like burrows himself back to the core. He doesn't have his 13 and 16 Locust talents though, and that means that he won't be able to do too much in terms of like pushing a lane out. He can of course always help and use the symbiote, but still, if you're missing out on those talents, then you are better in the fights, but you have a bit more of an issue trying to just like push a lane and go for that huge pressure. But you can really see that a massive wave is now moving towards the core here with 2-3 catapults.
Yeah, this is actually really well played by Gamers2. They're able to take a couple shots from the temple and then back out and know they're safe, because someone from the Evil Murkies is going to have to retreat here, and that basically gives Gamers2 all the time in the world to take down this boss. They're not going to be under any pressure. It's just the temple shots.
Yeah, they bursted down the boss and they took them pretty easily.
Minion Wave just been killed off anyway, apparently, so no worries with that.
So they took this one. They are not going to take down the keep though, but the top keep, that's a different story. There we have the temple still going with full force against the structures, and it's not going to drop the keep here, but it's going to be quite some damage, and I feel this is the moment when Abathur really thinks, why on earth did I not take no?
Yeah, very true, and it doesn't appear to be keeping Arthas, who's the one who's been on this entire game, alive much at all. Like, they've just been sucking out the Arthas. He's managed to, like, walk away once and then get re-engaged upon again and killed off.
Yeah, down here in the mid lane now we have once again the wave starting to push in, and of course with the catapults that are spawning for the Murkies now, they are in a great spot. Both of the teams are moving towards the siege giants, trying to put more pressure onto the bottom lane, which is especially important on the side of Murkies, since their lane is getting pushed in by the catapults that we're seeing spawning for their opponents, since they already lost their keep. So in this situation, both of the teams just waiting for the next temple, and the next temple is going to spawn the triple temple.
Yep, and this is where the game is basically won or lost, depending on how many temples each of these teams get. The Evil Murkies, for the first time in this game with a level lead, able to put themselves in a nice position, but it's not going to take Gamers2 long at all to get that level 22.
With the structures that we still have on the map, neither team will be able to drop the opponent's core unless they soak all 3 temples, which is very unlikely.
Yep.
So the team fight for the next temples is really going to be what's the important part here. Which team is going to lose additional keeps? Which team is going to be the one that will be pressured? And the next fight, it could determine also the game. If you lose 2 or 3 heroes right now, the only thing that is going to happen is that your opponent takes the opportunity, moves through the map, and takes down the core, and doesn't even bother with the keeps anymore.
So what is your opinion on the possibility of a backdoor in a situation when temples come up?
It's really tricky, and I think if we're going to see a backdoor here, it's going to happen from the Murkies. I think the Murkies right now have the momentum going for them.
Arthur's clone coming in, looking for Tic Tac. Tic Tac has the burrow, does not get rooted. He's just able to walk away. Nice Blizzard from Jaina as well. Able to slow down the rest of Gamers2, and this clone is just keeping vision, basically. That's all it's here for.
Now they're going for the first temple down here at the bot already. It's the triple temple, and they're starting to move over to the mid. If they can catch out one hero, that's all that you need to do right now. Bashek is providing vision thanks to the creep tumors. Very important here now. But it's still, they are looking for a fight. The Murkies know that they've won the last 2 or 3 fights. Yeah. If they can do it again, but look at the kill against, oh my god, a Nubarak. He got silenced and taken out. Illidan is jumping in there, trying to turn the game around, but a great ball in the backline from Sagara is isolating everybody. Arakane jumping out, attempting to at least another kill against Jaina, and this could be it.
Illidan is in the backline trying to take down the Sagara, but nice divine shield, and Illidan gets focused down. The Gargantuan's in there as well, but Sylvanas will pick that off, and now Malfurion and Nazeebo are in full retreat.
Why chase?
The Abathur's here for some reason.
Why would they chase?
It looks like they are finally going for the kill through the bot lane. In the meantime, Nazeebo is looking to take the temple. There's only 1 keep left here, but that's not enough. They need to do something. Looks like they're just going to try and be and defend. Maybe they should have just raised it, but it's not going to be enough with 4 members here. They have to defend this. Nazeebo, Mal, not the best kind of defense here. Nazeebo dropping all the damage he can.
Yeah, and this is too much. 15 seconds until Nubarak is back. Gamers2, they just decided that they were done with this. They took the fight. They laid a trap. Admiral Akbar did not warn the Murkies, and Nubarak stepped right into it. Got bursted down, and from there on, it was a downward spiral. They lost the game, and it is a 2-0 for Gamers2 against the Murkies. Great play by the Polish team. It was a pretty tough match. Actually, like when we had our first pause there, it looked very much like Gamers2 was in full control of the game, and they got a nearly 2-level lead around level 10 to level 11, which was impressive. But then the Murkies suddenly clawing their way back into this game, and it just shows once again that you have so many combat mechanics in Heroes of the Storm. Screw IGN. I mean, that guy had no idea what he was talking about. That was a sick game.
It was a very sick game, and almost the entirety of that game rests on 1 hero, and that was a Nubarak.
Yeah.
He was either, every time he was engaged upon, if he went down, the fight went in favor of Gamers2. If he stayed alive and was able to turn it around, then it went in favor of the Evil Murkies. And that last fight, the final trap from Gamers2, and it was over. Yeah. No Nubarak, no stuns, it's gone.
They had the creep tumors. They knew that the opponent was following them. They were just simply saying, all right, guys, stay in that bush, and if a Nubarak just shows his face for a second, burst
They
him down,
even
the
silenced
silence,
him.
and it was so well coordinated, wasn't it? I mean, the stun hits, and then immediately there's a silence. There's like no delay at all. They go for the
Split-second
silence.
gap, and that's enough time for a new to just
boom,
and
boom.
immediately tunnel out
no
of there.
chance to do anything. And in this case, all of a sudden, they were fighting. And the more from Zagara.
That was
so
beautiful.
good.
2 members, both the damage dealers from the Evil Murkies, completely wiped out.
I just imagine like them in voice, and when they started to chase Malfurion, somebody starting to yell at them like, "Let that Malfurion go and go for the core! What are you doing? Stop wasting time there! Kill them now!" And they did it. They took it. It's a 2-0 victory, therefore. And we have, in this case, now Gamers2 advancing to the consolation match. For us, that means that we are heading into a short break. And when we are back, we will have Team Liquid going up against Alternate Fantasy. It's going to be a great game, another best-of-3 series. The winner qualifies already for Gamescom, and the loser will have to go up against Gamers2 to determine the last spot for Gamescom out of Group A. So, guys, stay tuned. And after just a short break, we are going to be back with Team Liquid against Alternate Fantasy.